Minutes with myself, Michael Bergio, and Mark Novak. And this morning we're going to be talking about buying first or selling first. Does the chicken or the egg? Who comes first? What should we do? How are you, Mr. Novak?
Good, buddy. Good. It's a big topic, hey, because I think we're pretty used to it because we're collectively between us, we've been in real estate for over 30 years and we're exposed to a lot of people buying, selling, but just that mere fact or that concept of, oh shit, I've got to sell. Oh shit, I've got to buy. What do I do first? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's definitely probably a topic that has always been in real estate, hasn't it, Mark? It's not something, when like something like financing where sometimes it would go through a phase where money's really easy. So finance is never like a discussion point in real estate, and then financing is really tough. Sometimes it comes and goes, but I find this topic and this thought pattern for people buying and selling has always been there. I really don't see it ever leaving. What's your take on it, Mark?
Look, it's certainly an emotion that people all deal with differently. There's certainly strategy behind it, which is today what we can arm people with as well, with strategy. The emotion, I guess, everyone's different how they operate, and some people operate in a manner where they're extremely cautious, and some people operate in a manner where they're just cut snakes crazy and they just don't give a shit and they get it done. Who cares whatever the order is? They don't even care about strategy. So I guess where we want to arm you today, guys, is let's give you the cross-section of what people do and how they do it, and get a bit of strategy behind it. And then the takeouts will be you'll have that confidence and strategy to do your shit.
Yes. And I think first foremost is liaising with a broker to see what you can do. How often, Mark, we get people who assume they have to sell to buy, when in some cases you don't have to. And we always advise, if you don't have to sell, hold on to the property. So I think first step is, can you buy another property and retain the initial property as well? Because it's just that would be what we see the clients do if they can. And sometimes people can do that. And it also depends what you're buying. Is your secondary, let's just say you've got one property in the workshop and you're buying a second property. Now, if it's an investment property that you're buying, then I think it can, I would ask my broker two questions. What can I buy if I sell? And what can I buy if I retain the property? Would be one at one. But if you're selling to move into, for example, you've got a 2-bedroom unit in DY and you want to buy a house, let's say in Narrowena, and then you go to my broker, what can I do there? So what would be, because I think a lot of people don't fully understand how cheap money is at the moment, and with the rental returns where you may be able to, if you've got enough equity and cash deposit, keeping that second property, because a lot of people may think, oh, I can't buy it, it'll cost me too much a week to keep, like it's just not affordable. Where actually, with interest rates so low, you may be able to keep the initial property and it either makes you money, i.e. $20 a week after everything, or it only costs you $20, $50 a week. So I think that's a big one.
So it's really, so on the outset, I want to buy a house. I want to sell my house. First thing to do, talk to your broker, and then just do an analysis and see if you can do both. See if you have to sell one. See how much you can borrow, and then a broker will do will actually give you a form of pre-approval. Now, at the same time and concurrently, you want to know what you want to buy. So unfortunately, I think people feel silly going shopping with no money in their pocket, but you have to.
Yeah, it's 100% right, because you may think that, let's say you got a unit worth 800 grand and your next step is a house, and you're thinking, yep, I'll be able to get what I want for 1.2, 1.3. But then when you actually start going out on the Saturdays to open homes and you go, oh, actually, 1213 just doesn't get what I would want to move. So that means I need to push it to 1.5. So as much as we always say, get your sort of ducks in a line with money prior to going shopping, but you really need to know what you can buy before you do all that, because you may end up not doing the move because of that, or going down a different path.
Well, your broker's going to ask you how much you earn. The broker's going to ask you how much do you want to buy, what's your place worth, and the broker's going to ask how much do you want to buy for. So we call it the discovery process.
Yes.
As a buyer, you've got to go through that discovery process on your buying, going to open house, half a dozen or a dozen, dreaming with no money in your pocket, having a dream, and then you know your buy price, which then takes us over to your sell price. How do you discover what that is in the discovery process?
Yeah, and then you only do that by getting out and about. Now, Mike, do you find it's easier if I think in my view, I find a lot of people downsizing they're a little bit more open to buying before they sell, because they've generally, especially if you've owned a property for 10, 15, 20 years, and you've got a fair whack of equity in there. So if you've owned a home in, say, Narrowena for 15 years, you bought it for 400 grand, now it's worth 1.7, and you're looking to downsize to something around 900 grand, you may already have that in equity ready to go. So that's where I find a lot of people, that type of buyer profile is very open to buying before they sell, because they know they've got the money there. It's a formality of just going through the process to sell. But what about when the shoe's on the other foot and you've got your unit for 800 grand and you're buying in a market 1517?
Okay, can we hold on to that topic for 1 second? Can I just rewind a little bit back to the discovery process? You know what you want to spend because you've gone to 6 to 12 open houses. And to know what you're going to sell for, you've gone to 6 to 12 open houses, but they're not like your property. But the good news is you're going to meet 6 to 12 real estate agents. Grab one of those agents, two of those agents, or three of those agents, and ask them to come and appraise your property for free. Tell them you're not sure if you're selling or if you're going to rent it out. Either way, they're going to have business there. Either way, it's going to allow you to build a good relationship with a good agent who will also help you to buy, by the way, not just sell, but they will tell you the value of your property. That is the information and all of the information you're going to need for your broker. What you're going to buy for, what you're going to sell for, and also, your income. So those three things are critical. I'm sure you know your mortgage, most people do. Collectively, with that information, now you're armed, and now you're going over to the process you just spoke about, Michael.
Definitely. And so then I think a big tip as well, Mark, once you've found that property, is how you can structure it. And this is something that many buyers don't think of, and a lot of agents don't offer this structure, but a lot of the time the buyers won't tell an agent their situation. And what I mean by that is, if you're buying before you're selling, there's certain terms you can ask for in your purchase that will just make that selling process a lot easier. For example, you find let's say you got the house you're downsizing, you found the apartment you like, you secure the property, but you ask for a long settlement, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 14-week settlement, which gives you 20-week settlement, which gives you the ability of time, and you have the ability to bring it forward. And why do we do that, Mark? Because what did you say before? When you're selling when you don't have to sell, or when you've got time buying when you don't have to buy, you are in the best position. How often do we see? Yeah,
you're a much cooler cat. Like, you got to admit this, guys. You're a much cooler cat when you, and by the way, guys, what we're talking about today is buying before you sell, or do you sell first? Do you buy first? This is the topic we're talking about. We've got a shout out to anyone that's
yes, many Admiral, Andrew Cole. We've got Rick Mooney on, Jeff Luby, Todd. Love having you guys on every morning. It's really great. Ray Price, Jez Silla, how are you, buddy? Yes,
we got Florida with us again.
No, I haven't seen Florida yet.
Florida today.
Baby's having a sleep in. Well, I'm sure it's probably nighttime there, isn't it?
It probably is. So Okay, where were we? Okay, we were reducible settlement where you're a
Yeah.
better buyer when you don't have to buy. You are such a cool cat when you have no time pressure. You can walk away from a deal. You're a cool cat. Now, when you're a seller and you haven't bought either, you're a much cooler cat as well. So our recommendation is to sell first. And like you said, Michael, get the reducible settlement. And the reducible settlement is an absolute cracker because you can ask for 12 weeks, commit to a price, commit to 12 weeks or 20 weeks, but then you also get written into your contract that as a seller, you can reduce that whenever you want, which means if you find a desperado person to buy off, you can do a 4-week settlement. You don't have to convince them to do a 20-week settlement.
And that's the powerful thing. You're selling with more time, so you don't have to be pressured into taking an offer. But you're buying armed up with cash. And we've done this on many of our talks before. Going to a buyer with a contract signed with a 66W, ready to go, quick settlement, is very, very desirable for someone selling. And sometimes we see a seller take a lower price because it is there ready to go, shorter time frame. So that's where it's very, very good to put yourself in that position. And it just takes a bit of organization, some just correct knowledge. Watching this talk, I hope this can really help people who are in this position to steer them in a direction that will allow them to be able to sell with less stress and get an optimum price because they're not rushing and they're not taking the first offer, which sometimes is the best offer, but they've got time to assess. And when they're buying, they've got the ability to do a quick deal if needed.
Okay, so buy before you sell before you buy. What are the takeouts from this conversation from today's show?
Takeouts would be long settlement, flexible settlement terms would be key.
Settlement. Yep.
Engage a broker first and engage a broker and do that whole discovery process. Vital.
Discovery process. So discovery process, go and see your 6 or 12 properties that you want to buy, even though you got no money, and learn about if there is something out there that you like, get inspired. And then you've got your buy figure. Then to get your sell figure, the agents that you met when you're out there that you liked, invite them to your home to give you a free and complimentary sales appraisal. Why they are there, get a rental appraisal from them as well.
Yes, and see if you can retain the property. So obviously that works for that rental appraisal. I think a lot of people just look at the sale, but look at the rental. And then you give that to your broker saying, hey, I'll get $500 a week. And then you may be like, actually, well, your expenses are $400. You're going to make $100 and buy a second property. Therefore, now you've got, so let's say your $800,000 unit plus the home. Now you've got 2 properties going up in value, which is the key thing there.
Nice.
Anything else you want to add on to that, Mark? Any questions out there, guys?
Look, I want to put a bit of emotion behind it. Guys, it is super stressful. We get it. It's okay to think that. If you don't think that, you're probably not normal either. So the concept of buying a home and having to sell your home and do it in a relatively short time, yes, it's stressful. Get armed with the information like we've suggested today. And everyone will do it differently. And I guess depending on the industry that you're currently in is the way you're going to operate that buy and sell. An accountant will do it different to a stockbroker, will do it different to a courier. Do you know what I mean? Like whatever your job is, you'll operate in that manner in a little bit different.
Mark,
and that's okay.
We've missed probably the most important one.
Tell me.
Buy and sell in the same market.
Yes.
Take it away, Mark. Yes. I'll let you go on this one.
No, you brought it up. Go, tell us.
If you're buying and selling in the same market, it just, when you try and beat the system or you take too much time, it just opens the door for danger. And what we mean by that is, let's just say you've sold your unit for $800,000 and you think the market's going to go down. You're trying to speculate, so you hold off buying. But history has proven majority it's more likely to go up than it is down. Let's just say instead of the market, let's say you've sold, you got the opportunity to buy this house for 1.3, and you feel like you're going to outsmart the system. So you wait 6 months. But that property now is 1.45. You don't have that asset anymore at 800, what would be 900. So you've cashed out of that. You got no growth, maybe just your wages and savings. But now that home at 1.3 is 1.45, you can't afford to buy it. You're stuck. Because one thing we've always
in a rising market, particularly in a rising market. And so we're in a rising market.
We're definitely in a rising market. And even if we are not, okay, let's face it. Let's say you do outsmart the system. Great, you saved maybe 5%. But when you look at the risk versus reward, your risk is being outpriced of a market and not being able to buy again. Yeah. Compared to saving 5%. I wouldn't take that risk because what you're going to be, look at it this way. You do that. And I know I heard a lot of stories, Northern Beaches, Mark, of people around that. I think it was 2015. They sold and they bet the market was going to go down. The reality is they sold and they couldn't even buy in at the property they sold. That's how bad it can be. And I don't feel that is worth the risk.
And you know what, Michael, when people say this, actually fundamentally, if you want to make your money off other people's loss, it's not a good business model. It's not a good business model. So I have time and time here again, you've probably got your 5% of the people in the market, and I will hear them say to me, Mark, the market is going to shit itself, and then I'm going to grab a mortgagee in possession property, someone who's absolutely desperate and has to sell and has to give it away. So I'm going to sell now. I'm going to wait, 12 months, 18 months till the market absolutely shits itself. Then I'm going to swoop for someone who's going out of business, bankrupt.
I cringe when I hear that. I cringe.
And when I hear
feel bad. Like, I cringe.
Oh, mate, it's if you're making your money on someone else's loss, it's not good money. So guys and girls who are watching, just remember, it's not a good. It's if you want to build your business on that or build your purchase off that, the odds are I think you're going to fail.
And Mark, who else said that to us? Mr. Triggerboff. And when I heard that, I was like, you're a good man. So do you want to go through, that was through David, said the ethos is we would rather pay overs for land and development sites. But that means we're also getting overs for the apartments. We want everyone to be winning. The sellers to get good money, the unit buyers and us to get good money when we're selling the units because it's a growing economy. It's a booming economy. Everybody wins. They didn't have that ethos of let's find someone who's screwed and screw them even more. It doesn't sound good.
Doesn't leave anything for anyone. But you are right. Buying in the same market, absolutely critical on this subject today of buying and selling first.
Yeah.
Don't leave yourself out of the marketplace for a long time. I think you're okay with maybe 6 weeks or maybe 12 or 16. But if you're 26, 52 weeks out of the market, you are in, I think the odds are you're going to be in a bit of trouble. Your gap's going to only get bigger and bigger. It's going to cost you more and more.
Michael Edwards has said 10% of properties sell at a bargain price, minus 10% sell over market, 80% sell at market. Very good point. And that's good. I like that. 10% of properties sell at a bargain price, 10% sell at over market. Yeah, that's a good one, Mick. Yep. I like that. And it's so true, isn't it? So true.
Big time.
Yeah. All righty. Thank you, Michael, for joining. I'll let you know when that bunker, it's still no move yet. I reckon that's going to be a cracker space. And we will do a morning minutes when that opens because that's
co-work.
The new evolution.
The first co-work in DY, luxury co-work space coming available at Novak. Michael Edwards is going to be our first tenant, apparently.
Yeah, he's been on it, so it's going to happen. So if you want to work with Michael and across the road from us, let us know. We're taking registrations now.
Free coffee at Novak.
Free coffee at Novak. All righty, Guy. Anything else you want to add there, Mark?
No, have a great day, everyone. Hope we helped you out. If you've got anyone that you know that's buying or selling, please share this video. We survive on shares and likes. And it's $50 for a share.
Yeah, so we're giving away if you win.
We're giving away $2,500 over the next 12 months, which is $50 a share every week. We just gave our first one away last week, and the guy didn't think we were for real when he did the share, and he was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah, I thought I was a scam. So for us, I think the name was Share Away, and yes, let's work on it. Andrew Cole, let's get these domains up and running.
All right, guys.
Thank you,
Thanks.
everyone. Cheers.
See you, Michael. Bye.